ride on the Freedom Train podcast series. I'm your host, Joseph Ward, and as always, ride with me is my homies, Mr. Patrick Irvin and Mr. Jamie Bashan. Remember, Freedom Train is brought to you by PAX Inc. That's PACTS INC. And PAX Inc. is a black advocacy organization aimed at developing the black community to its maximum potential through a focus on education and economics with a trace of hard work, honesty, and integrity. And for more information, make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org. That way you can learn more about PAX Inc. and all the wonderful things that they have going on for the black community. You can go click on the tab that says the code, learn more about the codes of conduct. You can click on the tab that says more, and they have a learning center that pops up. You can go through all of the information. They have information about survival and being prepared for disasters, books, articles, and things on historical events and historical people. So go check it out, pactsinc.org. Also, while you're online, make sure you visit the Freedom Train website, our home, at www.freedomtrainradio.com, and that way you can learn more about me. I probably got a picture with my shirt off. I probably do. And you learn more about Patrick and Jamie, and as well as our great guests that we have on the Freedom Train and all of the wonderful things that we have coming up in the future, because the network is expanding. So make sure you sit tight for that. Our social media, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Freedom Train Net. Follow us on Instagram at Freedom Train Network. Like our Freedom Train Facebook page. Subscribe to the Freedom Train on YouTube. You can subscribe to the Freedom Train on iTunes or Google Play, and that way you can get episode notifications come straight to your phone. You don't have to go looking for nothing. It's right there for you. So we're about to get into it. Jamie, Pat, what it is, home slices?
What's cracking, cuz?
Hey, we're going down, Black.
Nah, everything good. What's up, Pat?
I am chilling, my good people.
Okay, third good.
I am okay.
Hey man, before we get deep into it, any of y'all heard that new David Banner yet? That God Box? Any of y'all bumped that yet?
Oh yeah, that's been in rotation since it came out, man.
Man, I listened to that damn CD about 20 times in the damn row already, man.
Nah, that's a dope album, man.
That shit hard. Pat,
well, it ain't gonna get enough clout as it should, though.
I mean, shit, it don't matter. He already put out a classic, so that's all that really matters. It's gonna get its due. Pat, you ain't talking. You must ain't heard it.
Nah, I done heard some songs off it, but I ain't got the album yet. But I did hear TLC's new album, so.
TLC still.
I know they don't compare, but, you know.
Hey, man.
Wait,
what about
TLC
your
friends?
Are they gonna be around?
Yeah.
Are they gonna let you down? Yeah.
While Joe does the cover. They dropped the album the same day as Jay-Z's 444.
Yeah. TLC. You know, they might wanna. Nah. They should just, I can't even,
What about your friend?
So to be fair though, it wasn't their fault. Like, they had the date picked out a while in advance. Jay-Z announced his drop date 2 weeks before he dropped. So
it came to him in a dream, that's why.
So, in all fairness, they was first, but.
You know what Jay-Z should have did?
What's that?
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
I walked right into that one, huh?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Face first. You had your mouth open and everything.
Yeah, man, I can taste it. I walked right into that one.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Some of my best work. Hey, man, what we got going on today, Pat? What we got, man?
Well, article came out the 19th. Seems to have struck a nerve with a lot of people in the community on a lot of different levels. The article is accusing black men of being the equivalent to white people for the black community. So, I don't want to give it too much shine. I'm sure everybody's already heard about it. But, you know, well, I can't say that because I guess that's what we got going on, so he finna get all kinds of shine.
Well, a little bit. We finna get in his ass, though. Finna get in his ass. But the article written by a gentleman named Damon Young, who, hold on, hold on. Damon Young is the editor-in-chief of VSB and a columnist for QM.com, and he's working on a book of essays to be published by Echo HarperCollins. Damon is busy. Okay.
All right.
So VSB stands for Very Smart Brothers.
Not so much.
Or very shitty bullshit.
So, before we go deep into the set,
you got to give him the overall synopsis before we.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So before we get into the meat of it, just from the outside, if you kind of just read through it, it's very wordy, and to me this is one of those it's a word I'm looking for. It's not coming to me, but this is empty. Yes, it's empty, and it does have an agenda to it. So when you read it and if you don't have that common sense to know really what's going on out here, it feels like it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, oh yeah, this is about our black women. It makes you, it can invoke those emotions in you. But if you got a half a damn brain and you know a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, you can kind of start dissecting like, nah, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. And again, we live in an age where if it looks good and it makes me feel a little good, then I agree with it. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to share it, and I'm not going to think critically. So from the outside, I can see how a lot of people were drawn in and were attracted to this article and thought it was, it was good, that it had some valid points and stuff like that. I can understand, but when you really dissect it, I think the article is very divisive, and he doesn't provide a lot of facts and proof to what he's saying.
So the article is titled "Straight Black Men Are the White People of Black People." And what gave this article a lot of momentum was it being retweeted by ESPN anchor Jamel Hill. Off the heels of her controversy with ESPN, which the whole black community, black men and women, came to her defense. But nevertheless, not to say one incident or one time when people come to her defense is enough for a person's whole perspective to be swayed. But nevertheless, this article, the whole sentiment is, like you say, straight black men are the white people of black people. So to read a little bit, he starts off by saying,
No. Don't read a little bit. I do think if we want to, because it's been ripped apart before, but I do think if we want to be fair and balanced in our rippage, we probably should read a good chunk of it and rip it apart as we're reading. Now, I'm not saying we gotta go line by line.
No, that's what I'm about to give him. I'm about to give him a little good piece. So it starts. I'm giving you the beginning of it. It starts off by saying, it feels counterintuitive to suggest that straight black men as a whole possess any sort of privilege, particularly the type of privilege created for and protected by whiteness. In America, we are near or at the bottom in every relevant metric determining quality of life. Our arrest and incarceration rates, our likelihood of dying a violent death, our likelihood of graduating high school and attending college, our employment rates, our average net worth, or likelihood of surviving past 70. I could continue, but the point is clear. But assessing our privilege or lack thereof on these facts considers only our relationship with whiteness and with America. Intraracially, however, our relationship to and with black women is not unlike whiteness's relationship to us. In fact, it is eerily similar. We're the ones...
Wait. Pause. Stop right there. we can stop right there, because that second paragraph was utter and complete bullshit.
Let me read it again. It says, but assessing our privilege as black men or lack thereof on these facts considers only our relationship with whiteness and with America. Intraracially, however, our relationship to and with black women is not unlike whiteness's relationship to us. In fact, it's eerily similar. Now, off top, just that part for me, basically, you know. Give me some evidence to back that up, because right now because this is purely opinion based. This is purely emotional fluff that's being put out to me as bait to get people riled up emotionally. But it is saying that basically black men have this sort of systematic something over the rest of the black community, but more specifically black women, that I've been a black man all my life, and I don't remember that. Like, I don't know.
Well, like, okay, so we go back to his statistics, the metrics he pointed out in the very first paragraph, where he talks about our arrest and incarceration rates. Okay, black men are more likely to be arrested and incarcerated than white men and black women. And that's
right.
Not a slight against black women. That's just, so we're looking at statistics. Our likelihood of dying a violent death. We're more likely to die a violent death than white men and black women. Our likelihood of graduating high school is lower than it is for white men and black women. Attending college, lower than it is for white men and black women. Our employment rates are lower than they are for white men and black women. Our average net worth, he has a point there where our average net worth is a little bit higher than black women's, but there is no comparison of the gap between white men and the black community and black men and black women. Black men on average, $2 more a week an hour than black women. We average $15 a week. Black women are $15 an hour. Black women average $13 an hour. White men average $24 an hour. White women average $20 an hour, somewhere around in there. You know what I'm saying? So the comparison even there is broken. I'm sorry, white men average $21 an hour. I had to just go look it up. White women average $17 an hour. Asian men average $24 an hour. Asian women average $18 an hour. So the comparison, white men and white women make more money per hour than black men do.
Look, my question is, but what is this power like? One of my biggest issues with this article is he provides no supportive material or information for his claims. So what power do black men yield over black women or any other part of the black community that he's referring to?
Well, that's the other component, though. And then you go into our likelihood of surviving past 70. Black women and white men live longer than black men. So by the very metrics he identified in the very first paragraph, there is no eerie similarity between the position white people have to black people versus the position black men have to black women. Our position is very similar, damn near the exact same as black women. So that whole statement is bullshit. And then to go to your point, Joe, black men aren't doing the hiring.
Right.
We aren't the doctors.
Right.
We aren't managing the colleges. We don't have the ability to shape any of these statistics en masse for black women.
Just simply put, we don't control those type of resources to keep black women from achieving what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve it. Not as black men, we don't have that capability or power. Now, if he wants to talk about the bottom of the barrel type, dude out there, then okay, I can see if this might apply, but that's not the.
No, but see, that don't even apply to that bottom of the barrel dude, because everybody knows that bottom of the barrel dude don't have no damn real power or influence over anyone in his community, except maybe some 15-year-old kids until the kid get old enough to realize he ain't shit.
Now, I'm talking about, that bottom of the barrel dude who know he ain't nothing, so he keeps down the black woman he's with. I can understand that, but that's not something that's talking about all of us. That's like a small percentage, and that's just a loser-ass dude.
But see, even in that, though, he don't have no real power to really keep her down, because
that's a fact.
That woman can leave at any time she wants, because like the dude across the street. He's one of them dudes. His woman left him when she got goddamn tired of that shit. She left him and he ain't got shit, because she had more resources and more ability to do anything than he did. The only thing that was stopping her was her believing that she needed him. And when she really realized she ain't need his ass, his bottom of the barrel ass went further down the bottom of the barrel. And see, my problem. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's just my other problem with this article is the tone of it is more so centered around sexual and domestic violence versus the totality of the relationship between black women and black men.
Well, and that's why I was going, because to Jamie's point, and Jamie's point is very powerful, and I think his point is really why black women feel so compelled to be excited about this article, is because they are thinking about the psychological abuse and the psychological turmoil they experience at the hands of deadbeat-ass dudes. They are thinking about the domestic violence issue, which is a legitimate issue that we don't want to minimize. But this article, and all of the metrics he mentions, domestic violence is not one of them.
Right, but see, he contradicts himself and he's jumping all over the place. Look, we have used the Freedom Train as a platform to not only bring awareness to sexual and domestic violence, but to thoroughly educate people on sexual and domestic violence, and especially violence against our black women. So, this is the right place for us to talk about this, because at no point are we going to minimize the abuse that black women face by the hands of black men, but at the same time, with the abuse that black women are facing, it's not at some kind of tyrannical level that white supremacy is. Like black men, the abuse, the level of the abuse or the extent of the abuse usually don't go past those levels that have already been diagnosed. It's not systematic, and to compare those actions and that abuse that black women receive to something that's systematic, to me it's like this dude he's trying hard.
It is irresponsible. I will say that. To me, it's irresponsible. Yeah. And like Pat said, when people think it is, they're not thinking about that solid black brother. They think about these absolutely terrible, good for nothing type dudes. But address that. But don't try to put us. You said black single heterosexual single black men. What was the name of it?
No, it was straight black men.
Straight black men. You put us all in a box in that statement, and that's the part that I think is dangerous and a bit disrespectful. Even though I'm married, even still, when I was a single dude, I didn't have any power to dictate, hey, girl, you're not getting this job. You got to live in this neighborhood. Here's your access to resources. That never happened. So
now we are going to take into account that there are some women who are under levels of oppression by the men that they're in. Like,
absolutely,
that does happen. That does happen. But to really try to like I just said earlier, to really try to equate that to like white supremacy, to the real privileges and advantages that white men have, like you just said, it's totally irresponsible, because we're talking about people who have negative responses to a negative environment over years in all this conditioning, because this is not the natural behavior of African people. We understand that we've adopted behaviors that are unnatural and unhealthy and unbecoming of us, and that's not to make no excuses for the things that happen, but they're stating that. But in displaying these unhealthy actions that black men do, black men themselves, when they when these things happen to these men, the one of the main reasons why men, period, get off on a lot of this domestic violence and sexual violence stuff is because the culture of sexual and domestic violence is strong, and it's been in existence before America, and it's supported by both sides and both sexes. So that component has to be taken into account. But it's just, you know, as a black man, and understanding that yes, male privilege does exist, but black men do not get the privilege to experience the full extent of male privilege because we're black, and we have all of the barriers, all of these social, racial, cultural, economic barriers in front of us that really prevents us from having any real power. We all know that black men, other than physical power over the women that they can overpower, we have no real power. Let's just be real. That's
well, we have to remember that racial bias is a lot stronger and a lot heavier than gender bias, and that's something that I think is easily lost in today's day and age of women's lib, women's rights, gay and transsexual rights, and you know, you got all these things that divide societies and divide cultures into all of these smaller subgroups, all of whom are screaming out very loudly about their own individual subgroup issues, and all of whom, rightfully so, are facing a level of oppression, but it divides the culture groups because it makes so many people lose sight of the fact that, you know, in terms of the LGBT movement, there's racism in the LGBT movement. In terms of the women's lib movement, there's racism in the feminist movement. In terms of all of these movements, racism is embedded in all of those movements. But because people are so focused on their own subgroup, they're not thinking about the commonality of the fact that even if the LGBT movement, even if we get our rights as gay people, I'm still going to be subjugated for being black. Even if I get my rights as a woman, I'm still going to be subjugated for being black. Even if you know what I'm saying? Even if, and these people aren't tied to you. They're using, like we talk all the time about how interesting it is that white women use the equal pay statistics the way they use them. They'll compare the pay of white men to the pay of black or Latino women, and then they'll put that disparity up. Very rarely do they compare the pay of white women to white men, because if they do that, they know that they lose traction with all the minorities, whose men will then stand up and say, well, wait a second, that white lady making more than I am.
Right, and they never compare the stats of white women to black women either. How much more they making than black women?
No, they keep their movement unified by eliminating the racial component, and then once they solve their subset issues, they dump the minority groups altogether. We've seen it time and time again, and we're seeing it now. And every cycle of women's lib, we see it in the feminist movement. We're in the fourth wave of the feminist movement. Every time a wave ends, the black women get dropped. Every time a new one begins, they get picked back up.
Yeah. So all right, let's read some more. All right. It said, hold on, let me get this right. All right, we're the ones for whom the first black president created an entire initiative to assist and uplift.
Stop.
All right, stop. Yeah.
Stop. All right. My brother's Keeper, that's because that's what it was called, right? That was not exclusively for black boys. Please understand that.
Right.
Like, you look at the program, where does it say this is only for black boys? Exactly.
But even deeper, you look at what the because that's a great point. You look at what the program was designed to address. The program was designed to address inner city violence, where all of these young black boys were getting killed and killing each other. There isn't an extreme amount of young black women running around gunning each other down. There isn't. So you look at what that issue was, what that program was meant to address. to try to. That's almost like when white people say, "All lives matter." In my opinion, that's the because you're comparing two things that aren't comparable. You can't even, like, that comparison doesn't even make sense.
But that was a blanket program. It was to address the violence in inner city communities, some that were predominantly black, but it wasn't just, all right, this I'm creating this for urban city black. Yo, it was Mexican kids and that, this, that, and other. It was all different type of ethnical groups and backgrounds.
It was a minority program. You're 100% right.
Yeah, so don't make it say, oh, the black guy, he created this program just to save black boys. That's not true. That's not true. And to me, you're minimizing the actual effort, which was to stop inner city violence, period.
Right. And then, and then let's not get into the fact that when Black Girls Rock first came out and black men came, some black men, wrongfully so, came out and said, well, what about for the program for black men? And they, rightfully so, got shouted down and told to shut up. Because we understood what they were trying to do, and we understood the need for it. Don't flip the script now on some bullshit. Like, nah, Jamie summed that up good, but that whole point, that whole sentence was just fucked up to me.
But listen to what you just said, Pat. Like, are we really that petty? I know for a fact our black girls need to be uplifted. They need to be told how great, wonderful, and powerful they are.
This is written from a dude, so we can't say that women are thinking like this. This Damon Young said this.
Well, that's why we ripping his ass.
Yeah, right. Like, for that, to me, that you can't, like, if that program was exist, I'm not going, what about the females? Well, they got Black Girls Rock, but, I'm not going to sit there and keep comparing and contrasting every single issue. When you do that, I think a lot of work doesn't just get done. What about this? What about this? He created that program for that. It wasn't exclusive for black males. Why even bring that up? What value does that have to the bullshit point you're trying to make?
Because he's trying to make it seem like black men get more attention and get more aid than black women. That's basically what he's trying to say. So, but hold on, let me read a little more. Go ahead.
You can't even, because you can't be. Go ahead, read some more.
All right. He said, we're the ones whose beatings and deaths at the hands of the police galvanized the community in the way that the beatings and sexual assaults and deaths that the same police inflict upon black women do not. We're the ones whose... Because that shit's media. We don't control the media,
right.
So we don't control the narratives.
Media. That is not us.
Narratives.
We don't get the black community galvanized when that happens. That's the media, the white controlled media that gets all up in arms, and they tell black people. This is something we talk about all the time. How black people only get mad when the media tell us to get mad.
Right.
The media tells black people to get mad when a black boy or a black whatever is killed, or when a black child is killed, and you don't see anything in the news when black women are beat or whatever. But we address those things, and all of our black friends that are men address those things.
Right, but we talk about all the time, like you just said. They're just period across the board. Black people are killed with impunity every day by the hands of law enforcement.
Every fucking day.
And the media picks and chooses who they want to make the story behind. So what he's saying in that straight bullshit, because we don't control the narratives, those narratives are given to us by the media. And when you look at the individuals and the outlets that we do control, we are talking about those things. But y'all motherfuckers just don't listen.
Right. Right. And that's great point. Jamie, you got something? I'm sorry.
Nah, go ahead. I was going
to say that's a great point, because the black media outlets that I follow, every time they get wind of somebody killed, man or woman, they cover it.
But see, this next line is straight bullshit. This next line is straight bullshit.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this next line.
Because we talk about it all the time. He says, we're the ones whose mistreatment inspired a boycott of the NFL despite the NFL's long history of mishandling and outright ignorant, far worse crimes against black women. First of all, Cap completely said that he took a seat and he was taking the knee for the unarmed killing of black men and women. He said that. So Damon, you what? It's recorded, Damon. The shit is recorded.
My thing is, so the line about, you know, we don't do the same thing when it comes to black women. Did we not ride when the whole Sandra Bland thing happened? Like, am I like?
We ride for black women. When, like I say, when the media especially the people as a whole, when the media tells us that you should be mad at this, that's who we're mad at, whether it's a man or a woman. But on individual basis, those of us who really know what's going on, they are constantly talking about the things that are happening to black women.
And well, he misses that though, like, and that's the thing that pisses me about this article. He's choosing what he wants to pay attention to and not pay attention to, because you can't say, oh y'all, we're not riding for black women. Well, here's some receipts. Well, what? Like, that part, he should have knew better on that one. Like, that's just.
Well, here's the thing too, though. One, like Joe said, Cap said he was protesting black people, not just black men. Two, we have to be honest about this situation as well. We catch wind of more black, and I'm not going to say, because we know that the police don't have to report when they kill somebody to a national database, so we don't know how many black people are actually being killed. But from the names that we do have, it seems to be that more black men are being killed. So that's not even a fair metric. If more black men are being killed, then of course it's going to seem like we ride more for black men than we do for black women, because more black men are being killed. But that, again, that goes back to the media narrative. The second half of this sentence is completely awful, though, where he says, despite the NFL's long history of mishandling and outright ignoring far worse crimes against black women, what crime is worse than being murdered?